started.
Great. Good. So a very warm welcome also from my side. Yes, I'm in Zurich. I'm in sunny Zurich. Thank you very much again for the invite. Do you see my presentation?
I think you need to share your screen.
Did that? Why is it not working? I share. You said it said host disabled attendee screen sharing.
Okay, so I need to do something here. Let me see. So I think we'll use the old technique of making you the host temporarily so that you can do your sharing. Here we go. So this is changing the host over to you, Alexander.
Great, I see that. I'm the host now. So you see my screen?
No, now maybe share screen. You're still not on the share screen.
Okay.
Yeah, now something's happening and we have your screen.
Wonderful. Yay. Better late than never. So I go on present mode. You still see the screen?
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. Can I just ask everybody else who's not talking to mute until I ask questions, if that's okay, also for recording purposes? So officially, thank you again, Sean. It's a great honor to speak again. I was invited at April. I think that was actually one of the first masterclasses and spoke there again. And now I try to give you great insights and tips on how to create an impressive job application a few months into the pandemic. Like Sean said, I run my own consulting business and advise also major IT companies in Switzerland on recruiting. To also speak what I'm talking about and prove what I'm talking about, I'll put a few pictures in my presentation. This is me when I'm literally speaking and not just speaking online. There I was invited at the Impact Hub in Zurich, speaking to a business school about successful networking. My professional experiences are quite broad. I studied international relations. This left picture is taken in Berlin at one of the think tanks there. And then the middle picture is me in Ghana. When I was 30, I embarked on that journey and was running MLA there. And me in a few sentences. So I'm a career coach and consultant at my own company since 2011. Also work as a recruiter, talent acquisition manager for major companies like Swisscom, Ringier Publishing House, 3+ TV station. I originally have a master in politics, business, and a postgraduate in business and mediation. And I also am acting in various boards and have mentoring duties or fun obligations. I am a Zurich native, so I'll literally speak about also the Swiss and European market to you. I've worked internationally since 2004, also studied in the US. Today, I'm consciously working in Switzerland, in the heart of Europe, in the languages German, French, and English, with international clients from 16 to 60, all genders and cultures. The private me, you will see a bit more also later. I love to be outside. I love to write. So that's also kind of how my business idea came about. I also write CVs and motivational letters and create LinkedIn accounts. And I love to be outdoors. I love my mountains in Switzerland, and I'm a pretty busy godmother and auntie. This is the pictures I'd like to share to also give you a better impression. The left picture is the Swiss mountains, where there's water then going into 3 different seas. Then the butterflies really like core to my heart. I think every application process is kind of a butterfly process. We all need to sometimes go back into a caterpillar, think about what we want, nest a bit, and then start to grow and put our wings out and send out applications. Then I'm from Zurich, love my country, love my city. It has special rules because we're not in European Union, but I think there's lots of advantages on that. And then the right-hand side, it's the current university I'm still studying to become even a better negotiator and mediator. Just a few words about my company before I then go into details. Founded 2011, over 200 projects and clients from 3 continents, privately owned, with the focus area on recruiting, employer branding, CV consulting, and career advisory. And here in lovely Switzerland, the core of Europe. The industries I recruit in are media, IT, and manufacturing, like I've already mentioned before. Here I like to already engage you a bit and would appreciate for you to write into the comment section in Zoom. It's about how to create an impressive job application. That's what I'm talking about today. And my question is, when did you last send a formal application? Sean, can you help me when I have challenges with accessing the Q&A?
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying if everyone can type into the chat box. Oh, there we go. So we started having some replies. Sebastian and Luke sent out their CVs last month.
Okay, so very recently already in...
Ahmed did it yesterday or today. Deepak a few weeks back. Ying Ying last month. Nadia 2 years ago. Okay, that's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Felipe 2014. Ooh, Felipe takes the prize, I think.
So there was where there was no pandemic on the horizon. Okay, cool. Thank you very much, everybody. For
Srinivas today. Srinivas was today. Yeah.
Today, great. So we have 6 years ago until today, yesterday, last month, 2 years ago. Thank you, Sean. So my professional opinion is the application is your virtual handshake. It used to be kind of a more personal one. Now it's a bit more trickier than ever, I'd say. And the average time you get to draw attention to your application is an average of 20 seconds. I put in here my current CV to give you a bit of picture on how I present myself. I consciously took mine because I do not share any material that I have from clients. What I tried to show here is that I have a pretty big picture. Come to that later when I go into details. I have the LinkedIn link here that is activated. And I have very consciously put the professional experience in 4 boxes dating back 1 century. And grouping them not only in companies, but also in profiles, in job profiles. The second and third page is then everything I did before the last decade, and then additional work experiences, all my education up until today, all the languages I speak, all the IT I can offer, and anything personal. I encourage every applicant and every job-seeking individual right now to put at least a third of page on extracurricular activities. The stress level now during the current pandemic is pretty high. Any hiring that can be done is additional to homeschooling, working from home, working 2 jobs, being in conference calls all day, cooking, eating, whatever you name it. And most applications and CVs are looked at first through the mobile while being in conference calls, so being kind of multitasking. This means the 20 seconds might go down to 12 seconds of attention you have to impress with your CV, and the entire extracurricular part and hobbies really makes you unique. I love to share the story that I was actually hired into Zurich Financial Services only because I did orienteering. You see my professional me right now with kind of makeup and nicely done. Orienteering is running in the woods, running in the dirt, in every weather. And the McKinsey boss that was about to hire a new team member, he also did orienteering. And when looking at my professional picture and he saw the orienteering, it created a lot of curiosity and he wanted to meet me. The profile was clear. I should have had studied business administration, had an MBA. I didn't because I studied politics. But after I had spoken for a few minutes in the interview, I could land the impression and actually got the job in the end and worked 5 years at Zurich Financial Services. This one. So I highly recommend you put a lot of thoughts in the extracurricular activities and in the hobby section. So here I summarized the CV components, how I recommend you doing it. An authentic, pretty big picture so that also on the mobile phone you make an impression. Name, contact details, birth date, marital status. In Switzerland, especially for male candidates, I highly recommend the marital status. For females, it's a bit a trickier situation. Has something to do with unconscious bias. I don't want to go into details, but I recommend to go as transparent as possible. And in Switzerland, usually you put the marital status and you even put in children. Then the direct link into LinkedIn, Xing, or Stack Overflow. The availability date. Currently in Switzerland, we have notice periods up to 6 months. If you can start any time sooner than 4 months, it's a high advantage, and I would really put it very high up in the CV that you have a 2 or 3 month notice period. Nationalities and work permits. If you might not be in the country you want to go work, but you might have a colleague that lives there already, try to ask your friend or colleague if you can also put his address as a kind of cohabiting address, because the nationalities, work permit, and also the residence is pretty important when recruiters screen the CVs, and the more positive, the better. So if I'm screening CVs and I see that you have already also a Swiss address, the chance is higher that I will invite you for an interview. Nationalities I put in plural. There as well, the emotional bind is pretty high if you have 3 nationalities, and you might also be Venezuelan or from whatever interesting country that is not kind of obvious when living in Europe or wherever you are. It can also create a positive emotional connection. Work experiences, of course, there I recommend to go really broad. Also put in leadership experiences, agile methodologies, really think out of the box. And of course, your entire tech know-how as a developer, education certifications, the IT know-how there, it's kind of Excel, PowerPoint, etc. Languages, be as cheeky as you can be. If you're currently learning Greek or Chinese as a hobby, just put it in as a beginner. It can also make people smile. Just be very open about what languages you can work with and what languages are just a hobby. Then the hobbies and curricular activities, I've mentioned that already in broad. Put it in the end and put it broad. The basic for an entire strong application is the CV and the motivational letter and reference letters. Especially now that recruiters are pretty swamped with applications and need to work really fast in screening and dividing the strong ones from the other ones. It's important that in case you would not have written reference letters, that you would send in a document where you have 2 or 3 people stated that have worked with you, and you can provide this additional information. I have it consciously put as a third part because there's recruiting tools where you really have this mandatory section that you need to put in reference letters, otherwise you can't even proceed with the application. My next question, and Sean, I'd appreciate your support here.
Yeah.
Which are the most challenging factors in job seeking for you?
And while that question is being answered, there's a previous question from Amit, or a point he made.
Yes.
That the employee agency in Germany asked him to put a professional photo in his CV. So, I guess the question is, should the photo be professional or can it be casual, I guess?
Can you unmute Ahmed and he can provide me a bit more details? Is that technically possible?
Yeah, Ahmed, you are unmuted. You can ask the question.
Okay. Back in 2016, I was in my home country. I wanted to come to Germany to work here. Then the employment agency in Germany that was to get people from abroad stated to me that if you do not put a professional photo in your CV, then you cannot get a job in Germany.
What was the specific criticism? Did you not have a picture in the CV, or it was not the standard they wanted?
Previously, I didn't have a photo of me in my CV because I worked mostly with US companies, so they didn't need a photo of me. But when I started to get to Germany, they asked me to put a professional photo there.
I think I got it. So is your question how professional the picture needs to be, or if there needs to be any picture?
Well, not a mobile photo or something like that. But they said to me that I have to get a costume with a tie, and then I have to make the photo.
Okay. And you work as a developer, Ahmed, or what is your profession?
I'm software developer.
Okay. I disagree with that approach. I don't think you should put a picture in that shows you in a work environment that you are usually not working, because I assume you rarely wear a tie when working.
Usually we do not wear a tie, only when we work in large banks. Yeah.
Okay. In case you would apply for a bank, then a tie can be normal. I tell my client to make an authentic kind of professional picture, but that can also be in the nature. It just needs to show you kind of with your shoulders. Good lighting, but I said I disagree. I think it needs to be the work clothes that you work with, because that's actually also how people will see you and work with you.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Can I proceed?
Especially with software, you know, picture is very rarely asked. I mean, if it's a sales role or any of these kind of roles where you need to be presentable in front of clients, maybe even tourism and things like this, hospitality perhaps, but software developer, and I want to see how you dress up before you, because dressing is not important. Most software developers dress, they're coding on the t-shirts on. So, so it doesn't make sense, but yeah. All right. So back to the question, I guess.
Yeah, so look, my official answer is if a recruiter or employment or agency asks and you don't feel totally uncomfortable, I would just go with the flow and fulfill their wish. But generally, I suggest and recommend you create an impressive application where you feel comfortable. In Western Europe, it's currently kind of the style to have a picture. It's just what recruiters want. And even more so now in IT. And we can discuss if that makes sense or not. It's just the current trend.
Correct. So the question that you asked, yeah, there's some answers here, some points raised. As you can see in the chat, Jing Ying is talking about one of the challenges. So one big challenge for me is that I want to apply for a technical position, example, machine learning internship, but I feel disadvantageous that my degree is MA and not MSc. So that's a career education degree being. That's one challenge.
Did more come up in the chat?
Yeah, Felipe is saying only access to job board websites and no access to hidden job offers. That's been his challenge.
Can you repeat, Sean?
Felipe is saying that he only has access to job board websites and does not have access to hidden job offers.
Yeah, good point.
Hello, Nadia here. Can I ask directly instead
of
writing?
Nadia, go ahead.
Okay, so for me, the challenge was when the recruiter asked about that I should propose the salary. I know the average salary or the upper border that I could propose, but I don't know what would be the polite thing to do in this situation when talking with recruiter. Like, should I go for an upper limit or like stick to the average or something similar? So any advice regarding this? Thank you.
Yeah, good point. So I have an educational question, the hidden job offers and the salary topic.
Then we have a point about the language. Deepak is saying I faced most on the German language problems when I apply. So he applying for roles where they are asking for German to be a known language. And Sebastian is saying, I've been working in university research, very practical work. Now I'm applying to do R&D in companies, and I'm often told that industry experience is required.
Okay, good. Okay, I see the point. Yeah. So from research to industry experience, good point.
The last point maybe, there's more coming. Let's the next one. Jing Ying also has a second point. Another one is that I'm working on my master thesis. So I'm not quite sure it's wise for me to spend much time on job searching.
Okay, there I would need a bit more background.
That's Jing Ying. Maybe I can unmute, or if you can unmute Jing Ying yourself and ask this question.
Can I unmute?
Yes, I think you'll have to unmute. Yes.
Oh.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay. So I've seen some job positions, they often require some tests, and I have to prepare myself for the test. But that test is not the same as what I'm working on, my master thesis. So that's a little bit different areas. So if I focus on the test for the job, then I will lost some time for my.
Okay, it's a time. Okay, yeah. So you like to know what makes sense, where to invest your time to best navigate.
Yes. Right.
Okay, good.
And then there's a point about Ahmed making a point about the German language. Usually B2 is required in Germany for German language.
Yeah, good.
And he's doing B2 Berufskurs. Okay, a course, I guess, German course. Then Kathy, you have a point, exactly the same challenge all over the world. I'm not sure which challenge you're referring to, Kathy. If you want to unmute and expand that point. Exactly the same challenge all over the world. Which one were you referring to? Kathy, I think Kathy's mic is muted. Okay, if she can unmute, we can expand to that point. We can go back to that point. But I think, Alexandra, you have enough to start off.
Yes,
So.
I totally have enough. So thank you, Sean, for your help again. So I will first come from a general point of view and then address all your points. The challenges I see as an international recruiter are work permits. There it's very important that you are very transparent on the CV what work permits you have. Maybe even send in a copy of your current work permit so the company sees when it might expire. Then one challenge is the current hiring freeze that narrows the job market even further. You've referred to it also a bit in the question, Felipe, on hidden job offers. I'll come to that. The headhunter agency role, I pointed out here, it's important that if you see a job from an agency or a headhunter and you have an idea which company it could be, that you go onto the company website and see if you can directly apply. All companies are currently working on cost cuts, or most companies, because of the pandemic and because of less income. So where they will save money is with headhunters and agencies. And if you find a way to go in directly, you definitely have an advantage. Active search direct applications. I highly recommend you have really strong LinkedIn, maybe Stack Overflow and maybe Xing profiles. The recruiters will focus more now on actively approaching potential candidates and save the money here in the recruiter agency budget as well as in the publishing budget. I've just seen it today with UBS. Already UBS stopped publishing on the major websites and only goes in their own career section on their website. I've even seen one post last week where a big Swiss insurance company only put out the job in the personal profile of the hiring manager in LinkedIn, writing especially that there will not be any job post. Goes also in the hidden job offer topic you've mentioned. Then talent pool. Yinin, this goes a bit into your question. I recommend you apply and take the time to every job that attracts you and spend all the time required to all the tests and go in. Yes, it can be time costly. Yes, it might be that it's not the perfect timing, but the sooner you have the foot in the door, the better. And it might not be working now, but you might land up in the talent pool and you might be recruited later. I'll now come to all the questions you asked. So about the hidden job offers, it's a really tricky one. It's always been a tricky one. Best is if you know what you're looking for and the location and the areas or even the companies. go directly through your colleagues network. Look if there's anybody who works there already. You can easily find it out on LinkedIn and Xing. Or going directly via a direct application into the HR pool on the company. Just write jobs@xyz.ch.com, whatever. And actually open up yourself to really be more visible. You can also post on the social media that you're actively looking, that if anybody hears anything about an interesting job, they should approach you and private message you. And it's really, I see the trend that it's really going more and more hidden actually every day. Then about the salary, I would name a range. It's kind of the normal challenging topic in every interview. Nobody feels comfortable. You don't want to go too low. You don't want to go too high. Usually, especially when you're changing industries or levels, it's pretty hard. I would name the salary that you've had, saying currently I have 30K, 40K, 100K, whatever. Put in an additional 5% to gain. So take the current salary, put in 5% more, say this is what you have. And then say you, of course, are looking for more. You've heard the ranges from this to this. You're well aware that there might be industry differences and you're very open to discuss. The educational part, changing is always tricky. I hope I understood the question correctly. If you don't have the education needed, what you can do is do as many online courses as possible. Put those in the CV. Maybe also join a few meetups on the topic to really broaden your network there, and do name and words dropping in the CV and in the motivational letter, saying you use the words that are in your example machine learning focus, the words that you usually use in that job or in the job profile, and drop them into the CV and into the motivational letter to prove that you have in-depth knowledge or in-depth basic knowledge on the topic, and that you're really keen on expanding there. The languages are a very, very, very tricky one. In Switzerland, they often even want French, so not even German, but German, French, Italian, and English. I would also recommend a bit similar approach than what I said before. Join meetups, practice, start as a beginner, put it in the CV, put a few German words in your motivational letter or in your CV to really show that you are well aware that it's important to have that language, but you're not there yet. Most companies who really want to hire you for the skills, they will also give you courses. I think I've the industry experience from Sebastian, that's the last one. It goes a bit similar to what I answered to Yin before. Do name dropping, word dropping, try to meet people, learn a bit about the industry, and show you are aware that you're a beginner in that area, but you really want to take a chance to change industries. If any of you have additional questions, you can also send me an email later and I can go into more details. Time-wise, I know I'm already over my 15 minutes, so I dare to proceed. General recommendations also for the current times, also goes a bit into the question on salary. Try to negotiate flexible salaries. There's companies who currently don't want to hire 100% employees or want to hire you 80% on freelance work. So start to think a bit out of the box if that is an option for you and you can live with such a model. I recommend you also put it in the motivational letter. Networking, networking, networking. So kind of the opposite of the sleeping butterfly here. Meetups is a great way to meet people. Also, the tech meetups community offers great classes where you can meet people. There's lots of ongoing discussions on Xing, LinkedIn, Stack Overflow, connect, 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 because like Felipe mentioned, it's a really hidden job market. It will go even more hidden, and it's the networking that can make the difference. Education and certification, I've already mentioned it also a few times. Take the time, do some online courses, whatever you've learned, put it in the CV. The more you can prove that you have the educational background on the job you want, the higher your chances. You can impress with your application, you can also land the job. The important rules of successful and impactful job hunting in a few words. Be visible. Currently, that means also social media, emails, phones. Do congratulations messages if you see somebody has worked for 1 year in a job, or just really be visible and show yourself. Maybe also with personal posts on social media or a newsletter or a website. Be you. This comes back to the picture topic we've had in the beginning. Stay true to yourself. Don't bend and pretend to be a type person if you're not, because it will come out and it's just a hassle and not cool for anybody to find that out very late. And then be creative. Also with this presentation, I really try to encourage you to think out of the box, be creative, use words you would otherwise not use, be colorful, choose a cool picture, maybe put a cartoon out on a social media post that you like. It's really the creativity that can spark emotional connection and this very important first connection with a recruiter or a hiring manager. I put my picture here that I use very often. It's an original movie chair that I bought from an original movie theater. It's me smiling. It's really just me, and people can see that if you ever want to work with me, that's what you get, a bit out of the box, a bit colorful, and smiling and cheeky. This video, I will not play it. You will receive the entire package later. Please take a look. It's about 8 minutes. It gives a very good additional set of insights of what can happen, what is important, how you need to be prepared. Yes, it's Thai people, but it can also be watched for non-Thai people, and it can equip you with additional good tips. Impressive applications, one of my last slides now. To summarize, it's the CV and lecture and references I recommend you use. Up-to-date social media profiles. Have your stuff ready within 4 hours. So if you meet somebody, they want to have your stuff, you can send it within 4 hours. Direct approach, active sourcing reply means that check your mails, check your phone, check your social media. If you've been approached, answer really fast. The no-goes, of course, typos, too generalized applications, no CVs, and no motivational text. The time is pretty narrow, so I would skip that. You've already had the chance to ask many questions. Please reach out to me via email, and I'll answer any additional questions, and I'm happy to. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and also thank you very much for all your great questions.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Alexandra, for that. And with that, I will reclaim the host capabilities, which I now have. And yeah, I think we will distribute the presentation, the video, and if it's okay, Alexandra, your contact details. So then, you know, if anybody wants to get in touch with you, they can do so. Now, with that, I move on to our next speaker, although I think he had some problems earlier with logging in with the sound. So I think Alex is trying to get that sorted out. So in that case, I'm going to actually move on to my own presentation. All right, let me share my screen and my presentation.